Hi everyone, it's Christina from the DIYmommy.com, and today I want to teach you how to sew a DIY face mask with a filter pocket, elastic straps, and a close fit to the face. I want to thank Cricut for sponsoring this video today and providing this pattern and tutorial on their blog for free. Maintaining 6 feet social distancing and frequent hand washing remains the most important thing to slowing the spread of coronavirus disease, but the CDC and our Canadian government, for my fellow Canadians, is additionally advising the use of simple cloth face coverings to slow the spread of the virus. I will link to the sources for this information down in the description box below. Please note though that this face mask is not rated for disease control and is not considered PPE or personal protective equipment. Please research how to properly use and clean a fabric face mask before wearing it. Recommendations for using fabric face masks have been changing, so watch these via the CDC or your government's website. Ready to get started? Let's go. First of all, go to the Cricut blog. They have the free written tutorial on the blog step by step, plus they have a free Cricut design space file. If you don't have a Cricut machine, they have a free printable PDF that you can print out at home and then use as a pattern or a template to cut with scissors onto your fabric. So you can use a Cricut machine or you can do this by hand. All of the free patterns I will link down in the description box below. I'm going to use my Cricut Maker for this project, so I'm opening it up on Cricut Design Space on my phone, and then I'm sending the cut files to my Cricut Maker. Make sure to cut out squares of pre-washed cotton fabric that are slightly larger than your pattern pieces. Use 100% cotton and make sure you wash it before you use it to make sure that you do any pre-shrinking. Again, if you don't have a Cricut Maker and can't cut with a rotary tool, you can use a Cricut Explore Air and cut the pattern out onto cardstock using the Cricut Design Space file. Or if you don't have a Cricut machine and want to do this by hand, again, access that free PDF pattern, print it out on paper, and then use those patterns to cut the pieces onto 100% cotton. You can use different patterns of cotton for the outside and the inside of this mask. That's going to help the user differentiate between the outside and the inside. I liked using my Maker for this project because it made this project very quick. All of these pieces were cut out nice and quickly on my Cricut machine, and I was able to make about 3 masks per hour this way. Once you have your pieces cut, you're going to have 2 outside pieces that look like this and 2 inside pieces that look like this as well. Place the right sides of the 2 outside pieces together, and you're going to use your sewing machine to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance and sew those together. So it's going to look just like this. Repeat this process with the inside pieces of the mask. You're going to sew along that curved seam with your sewing machine, use a regular straight stitch and a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Make sure to backstitch at the front and the end of your stitch to help everything stay together. You can also take your scissors and do little slits along the seams so that the curve of your mask sits nicely. Next, open up the masks and take your iron and iron the seam to one side. Once you're finished ironing the seam to one side, it's going to look just like this. For the inside pieces of the mask, you're going to take the sides of it, the straight sides, and iron them towards the wrong side of the fabric about 1/4 inch, just like this. Then you're going to take the outside piece of your mask and you're going to iron the center seam open like I'm doing here, making sure that the seam goes to one side. Next, work with those short straight edges. You're going to iron one of the edges over a 1/4 inch to the back and then fold it about another 1/2 inch and iron that. Repeat with the second side, fold over a 1/4 inch, press, and then fold over about a 1/2 inch and press again. This is going to create the casing for your elastic piece. Now you're going to sew those seams together. So for the inside of the mask, sew a straight stitch very close to the folded edge of the mask using a regular straight stitch on your sewing machine. Make sure to backstitch at the beginning and the end. Now you're going to top stitch that middle seam of the mask. Top stitch nice and close to the seam so that your top stitching looks like this. Now you're going to sew the casing part on the exterior of the mask. Make sure to sew this casing so that you leave enough room, about 1/2 inch for a 1/4 inch elastic to go through this casing. Then you're going to also top stitch that center seam of this outside piece of your mask. Now place the interior and the exterior of the mask pieces right sides together. Match up the center seams, and then make sure that the interior of the mask, the ends, don't go over that casing part that you created on the exterior of the mask, because you want to make sure that your elastic is going to be able to go through that casing piece. You're going to sew the top and the bottom of the mask together using, again, a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Use a straight stitch on your sewing machine and make sure again to backstitch at the beginning and the end of your seam. So here you're only sewing the top and the bottom of the mask, and you're leaving the sides open so that you can insert a filter in here if wanted. So this is how the mask looks when it's sewn together. Make sure to trim all of the excess pieces of thread off of the mask. And then you can also cut some more slits here along the curve to make sure when you open up the mask that it lays nicely. Next, you can pull the mask through so that it's right side out, and then take an iron and press the top and bottom seams so the mask lays nice and flat. Now you can take your sewing machine once again and top stitch the top and the bottom seam of the mask. Stitch as close to the edge as you can, and again, back stitch at the beginning and the end of your top stitching. Make sure not to sew over that left and right casing for your elastic, because you're going to want to make sure your elastic can go through the casing. I find that the top stitching for these masks really makes them look nice, plus it keeps everything nice and strong so that the mask stays together. Trim off any excess thread at this point once again. And now you can take 1/4 inch elastic and cut it to about 20 inches for most masks. There's different measurements for different sizes of masks that Cricut has on their website, so check out the link in the description box below. Then you're going to take a small safety pin and put it through one of the ends of the elastic. You're going to thread it from the bottom to the top on one side of the casing, just like I'm doing here. Then you're going to pull it through the casing, making sure not to pull it all the way through and making sure that your elastic is flat. Then pull it through the other side's casing from the top to the bottom. Just a note here, I know that elastic can be hard to find in some areas. You could also take some knit jersey fabric, cut it into 1/2 inch strips, pull it into a tube, and also thread that through your mask as well. I'll leave a link in the description box below where I made some stretchy yarn out of knit jersey fabric, and you could use a similar thing here. Now you're going to take the two ends of the elastic, you're going to overlap them, and use a zigzag stitch to stitch them very strongly together. Now, if you want, a finishing touch is you can pull the elastic through the mask a little bit so that you're hiding that seam in one of the casings. So here's how the finished mask looks. I really like the curvature of this mask. I like how the elastics are, and they really sit nicely on the head and keep it firmly on your face. I also love that you could open up the sides of this mask and insert any sort of filter that you want through here. Now this was just kind of for fun and maybe a gift idea for someone that you care for that wants a mask. I did some of these in just a plain white cotton. I cut out some hearts on Cricut iron-on, and it was just a free heart pattern that Cricut had on Design Space. And then I used my Cricut Easy Press to press these hearts onto one side of the exterior of the masks. And this is just a cute way to customize a mask and kind of put a little hopeful heart on a mask. So certainly an option if you want to do a mask just like this. Plus I like the white because it's easy to see if they're dirty and you can give them a nice clean. So here's how the mask looks on my face. I'm wearing the adult size small/medium. I did make some adult large sizes, which are available for free on the Cricut blog as well. They were a little bit too big for my face, but I think they could work for some faces as well. They also have children's sizes too, so there is a size for everybody in your family. Thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know down in the comments below if you're going to make one of these, or if you've made a similar fabric mask. I would love to hear how you made yours differently. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more DIY and decor ideas on a budget. And I'm going to leave some more videos that I hope you will love up in the top left-hand corner.